And then can you please tell us, how was your life before encountering Jesus?
So I grew up in the house of the Lord, but unfortunately I didn't know the Lord. I was in ministry from a young age because my parents were in ministry, and that was great, except that I set standards upon myself that I thought were reaching for excellence, but it was actually perfectionism. And that really resulted in a lot of self-rejection when I couldn't meet the expectations that I felt like were placed on me, but it was in my mind. So every time I couldn't meet those expectations, I would allow the enemy to whisper things in my mind, and I would accept it as my identity. And I would begin to accept the fact that I wasn't good enough, or I didn't sing well enough, or I wasn't pretty enough, or I wasn't bold enough. And as that progressed, I began to spiral really into a time of anxiety and depression and self-rejection. And as that went on, it got heavier and heavier. And when I was about 14 and 15, I turned to things like drinking and smoking and self-harm to try and make other people believe that I was still that joyous person I was before, but I wasn't. When I was 15 or 16, I graduated high school, and I went to college immediately after. I didn't know my identity. I didn't know what I wanted in life or what I was going for, but I went ahead and just did it because I felt like I had to, and that really threw me into an area where the things that I counted as hobbies on weekends became a daily lifestyle. When that happened, I really lost control of who I was, of what I wanted. I became what I thought was purposeless. I didn't have ambitions. I didn't have motivation to do anything. And after about 3 years of college, I decided to drop out and just focus on my career. When that happened, my lifestyle progressed and my identity continued to diminish. I allowed the enemy to really whisper my identity into my mind, and I just began to partner with that self-rejection until I just despised who I was. Going forward, I got into a relationship that I knew wasn't for me, and throughout that whole process, God continued to pull on me. He continued to speak to my heart and was like, I don't want this for you. You have a greater purpose than this. I have plans for you. I don't hate you. But I didn't align with that. I would reject it every time because I was convinced what I knew on the inside was from him, but it wasn't. As that progressed, at the end of 2019, I had been addicted to nicotine for about 6 years. Every day was kind of just a battle if I survived, and everyone around me would just ask, what's wrong? My parents didn't recognize me anymore. I had ruined most of my relationships with my family, my friends, and I just cried out to God. I broke down, and I was like, God, I don't want to be like this. I hate this. I hate my life. I don't want to be here. If you really are this miracle working God that people say you are, get me out of this. Break these chains, fix this. I can't get out. And so that was at the end of 2019. Shortly after, I found Pastor Vlad's videos online. I began to fast and pray for my own deliverance, and I rebuked anything and everything under the sun that could be attached to me. I prayed continually and was really passionate about getting my life back on track. And I promised God that I'm leaving all of my past life in 2019. I don't want to take it with me. And I asked him that if he could break the bondage of addiction to nicotine for me, I would continue in that process. So before the new year even started, he completely took it away. And that was a miracle.
So now that you've encountered Jesus and you're walking with him and you're now in the ministry internship, how has your life changed ever since then?
Yeah, so once 2020 started, I continued on that path. God continued to show himself faithful, and he showed me in that process how much he really loved me. It felt like he was holding my hand the entire time. He became my father. He became my best friend. And in the middle of 2020, I got in a car accident that really changed the trajectory of my life. That car accident left me completely dependent on God, emotionally, physically, financially, and spiritually especially. And from then on, I got baptized, and God plugged me into a church where I could receive my full deliverance. And after that, he began to teach me how to minister from his heart, how to really pursue people from a place of love and from the love that he showed me. And from then on, I've just been following his lead. He's been placing every step before me, and he brought me here where I get to learn how to minister on a bigger scale. Praise God.
Amen. if there was someone out there that was going through the same thing that you were going through, either addictions, either depression, anxiety, or just not knowing who you are, what one advice would you tell them?
I'd say that if you take one step towards God, he's going to take two back at you. He loves you so much, and you can't allow the things that the enemy tries to whisper you to hinder you from the call that he has on your life to really take you out. He calls you chosen. He calls you his royal priesthood. You're seated with him in heavenly places, and you can't allow the lies of the enemy to diminish the truth. So he loves you. Come back to him. He's going to help you the rest of the way.
Thank you, Jules.